Nice to see you folks here on Zoom as well. Hi, nice to see you. Shabbat Shalom. Julie, I'm going to invite you up. Where are you at? You're going to light candles for us, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
The other Julie.
So I'm going to invite you right up now to help us light candles for Shabbat. Yeah. So we're going to start on page 121.
Okay. Should I light them first?
So I'm going to ask you
Do
to.
the English part and I'll do the Hebrew.
You want me to read this?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. You can light the candles now?
Yeah. Where did I put it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushani mitzivanu ahalel nel shel Sabbath.
Amen.
Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. All right. So, Robin, I'm going to invite you up now to lead us in Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsha b'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu Zikaron le'maaseh bereshit Ki hu yom techila b'mikra'e kodesh Zecher letziat Mitzrayim Ki ranu v'chata B'yotanu kiddashta Mikol ha'amim Shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinkatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
We're going to continue now on page 124. Page 124, and let's read together responsively. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May we welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. All right, let's turn forward now to page 138, and you can join me for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, la la la, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor bedibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo אחד לשם ולתפארת, והעליתי לה לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, לה לה לה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, לה לה לה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קום מצאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך אמלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, לה לה לה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה, ונגילה לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, לה לה לה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, לה לה לה, פני שבת נקבלה. We're going to turn now to page 140 for Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, the psalm for the day of Shabbat. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך רנן. מה גודלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Let's turn to page 142 now for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon. Mi Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moachem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's turn to page 145 now, and we'll read together in English. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. I'm going to turn forward now to page 146, and I'll invite you to rise with me if you're able and comfortable doing so for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Please feel free to have a seat, and we'll turn to page 149. Let's read together in English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Amari Varavim. All right, we're going to turn to page 150 now. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We're going to turn to 152 now, and I'll invite you to rise again, if you're able and comfortable doing so tonight, for the beginning of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Please feel free to have a seat. We'll turn to page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. We're going to turn to page 157 now, page 157, and we'll read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say Adonai.
There is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Going to turn to page 158 now. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nara tehilot osef ele, malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, u'ge'alom yad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael. Let's turn to page 161 now, and we'll read together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Let's turn to page 162. Yismechu ve'malchutcha shomrei Shabbat ve'korei oneg hamekadeshei shevi kulam yismehu ve'yitangu v'ituvecha yismechu ve'malchutcha shomrei Shabbat ve'korei oneg hamekadeshei shevi kulam yisbehu ve'yitangu mituvecha yismechu ve'malchutcha shomrei Shabbat ve'korei oneg hamekadeshei shevi kulam yisbehu ve'yitangu mituvecha. Going to turn to page 164 now, and I'll invite you to rise again if you're able and comfortable doing so tonight for the beginning of our evening prayer. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha, Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem leman shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atah rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye metim berachamim rabim, saomik noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hametim. Going to continue on page 171, and please feel free to have a seat, and we'll read in English. Days pass, and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We're going to turn to page 173 now, and again we'll read in English. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. We're going to turn now to page 176. And as we do, we're going to take some time for folks to hold up a blessing or something they're feeling grateful for in this moment, in this week, here in their lives right now. So, Robin, do you have the mic?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to read in English the beginning of the blessing, and then if you've got something that you want to share, then you can raise your hand, and we'll get the mic around to you. And just wait for the mic to come so everybody can hear what you're saying. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks.
I am very thankful that Jennifer here was able to bring Richie, who loves to come to services. He's part of, I see Richie in my chaplaincy work, and it's wonderful that he has a chance to be here because he loves coming to Jewish services, right?
It's good to see you again, Richie. Glad you could make it tonight.
As it turns out, I found out, I think I mentioned the other day, that I had a flat tire and found I didn't have a spare. The nice, wonderful used car dealership did not give me a spare. So I ordered one online, but then I realized that just having the spare doesn't put it under the car. You need a spare cover, which is this fiberglass or plastic thing. So I checked around, and they were quite expensive online. And then I got a thought, and I called up Gary's You Pull It. And they said, you know, what type of car I have, and they told me there's about 30 Town and Countries and Grand Caravans that would basically be similar. So I spent a whole afternoon crawling underneath cars and looking for these things, and most of them were damaged beyond use. And as it turns out, I was able to find 2 in decent shape and 1 in almost perfect shape. And the one in perfect shape was actually hard to get to because I was able to drop it down and it would not disconnect from the cable. So I went back up, and luckily enough, I was loaned a tool that I was able to cut the cable.
Mm-hmm.
Only when I was going around finding all these things, some of it was a little heavy, so I put it here, and I put another one there, and then I realized, couldn't remember where I put them. So I wandered around and wandered around. Finally, I found everything that I had misplaced, and everything is good. There you go.
That's good to hear. It sounds like you had a fun afternoon.
I got the news today that a dear friend of mine who has been undergoing treatment for breast cancer finished her treatment today, and she's doing really well, and her prognosis is really good, and for that I am profoundly grateful.
Really happy to hear that. Thank you.
My family had the opportunity to get together, and essentially my 2 sisters hadn't been physically next to each other since my younger son's wedding, which was 13 years ago, because one of them lives in Texas and they just never got out of town very much, but they managed to get together about a month ago. We had a private memorial service down in Queens, and it was really great me and my 2 sisters were together for the first time in 13 years, and that was very special.
That's really awesome. Thank you.
I have one. Teresa and Ross visited me today at work, and they got to see my department, and it was a lot of fun and great to hang out with them, and I'm very glad that you guys came to see me.
That's awesome. Thanks, Robin. Do we have anyone on Zoom that wanted to unmute? I wasn't sure. Wait, do you have your hand up there, Sylvia? Okay, I'm sorry. Wait a second, Sylvia. So who is that? Okay, Sharon.
I'm grateful for the fact that the temple goes and puts the services on the Zoom, as I am not close to any temple, and it's just a wonderful way to participate and still be in contact with everyone. So thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. I'm really glad that this is. You're very welcome. I'm really happy to hear that this is working well for you.
Okay. For many years, I invited my family, all my children and grandchildren, relatives, to my house for Thanksgiving. But this year, it's reversing. I'm invited to my daughter's house, so I'm very grateful. Let's work for Mother.
Sounds nice. I'm going to throw one in here. Like a few other folks, I had kind of a stressful week this week. And the thing that I'm feeling really a great deal of gratitude and feeling very blessed in myself this week is how many folks that I've been connected with in various ways over the past 10 years or so ended up reaching out this week to connect and see how Ross and I were doing and to offer help and support and just to be in touch. And that felt like a real blessing and really made me feel like like the power of community and the way that we can all kind of persevere if we find ways to stick together. That felt like a real blessing to me this week. Going to finish off at the bottom. Baruch atah Adonai atov shimcha uchana'eh lehodot. We're going to turn now to page 179. I'll invite you to read with me in English. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We'll take a few moments now for private prayer and reflection. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru. Amen. So Ross, I want to invite you up now. You were going to do a song for us, right?
So anyone that recognizes this can join along with me, but I was going to sing Lehi Lach by Debbie Friedman. This is Lehi Lach for those that might not have heard that by Debbie Friedman, so if you know it, please join along. Lehi Lach to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi Lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lehi Lach. Lehi
We're going to continue on page 371. Page 371. This is the time in our service when we typically say a prayer for healing, remembering those in our community and connected with it who are in need of our healing prayers, and also those around the world who are in need of a little healing tonight. So in particular this evening, we're remembering in our congregational family Genevieve Adomai, Todd Adams, Raphael Aglietti, Kathleen Al-Jalad, David Ben Esther, Terry Bennett, Barry Berkowitz, Tina Bingle, Thomas Brophy, Louis Calcetera, Tegan Christofferson, Bob Dickman, Caitlin Eckert, Arthur Adel, Sandra Gutman, Sheila Hickok, Walt Huber, Sarid Katsu, Reverend Rebecca Kindig, Ilana Levine, Helen Lewis, Brooke Little, John McFeely, Rowan Nicciolino, Jeremy, Manny, and Robin Orden, Maxine and Scott Oringer, Ken Roberts, Jim Rosenstein, Rabbi Moshe Shmaryahu, Jennifer Stile, Dick Watanabe, Rhonda Waxman, Elena Witter, Phyllis Young, Debbie Zapataki, Eugenia Zaroli, and Jaeger Zopp. And if you'd like to add any names to our list tonight, then just raise your hand and we'll try and get the mic to you.
Rose Hamilton, the wife of my good friend Greg.
Thank you.
Elvin Bar Shmuel, Emmett Ruvain, Vivian Kalabza, and Tony D. Girolamo.
Thank you.
Emily Rose.
Robin, over here. Robin, over this one. Well, they can't hear you on Zoom if you're not on the microphone. Instead.
Fred Rothman, Stephen Sussman.
Thank you. I'll add Shmuel Emmett Ruvain Mibeit Avraham Basara to that list. Did we miss anybody? All right. Page 371. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mekor abraha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor abraha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Praying for a refuah shalema, a complete and speedy healing to all those that we're remembering in our hearts this evening. All right, folks, just got a couple little words of Torah to share with you this evening. As you probably guessed from Ross's selection of music tonight, we are on Parashat Lech Lecha, which is the parsha in which we really first get introduced to Avraham. Avraham stands out as the first in the pantheon of Jewish patriarchs. But even though God singles him out at the beginning of this parsha for a special journey and a special relationship with the Holy Blessed One, when Avraham leaves his father's house to journey to Canaan, he doesn't go alone. With him are Sarah, his wife, and his nephew Lot, both of whom are key figures in this, the story of the first family of the Jewish people. And what I find myself focusing on when I contemplate that story is the contrast between the intensity, the purity of God's call to Avram at the beginning of Lech Lecha, and the messiness and unpleasantness of the compromises that Avram, that Sarai, and that Lot end up making simply to get by in a difficult world. God says to Avram, "Go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing." And Avram hears that call, and he goes. But no sooner has he arrived in Canaan, it seems, than a famine strikes the land, and he finds it advisable to leave again for Egypt. I think of how Avram materially benefits from the deception of passing Sarai, his wife, off as his sister, acquiring sheep, oxen, asses, male and female slaves, she-asses, and camels on her account. And I think about the impact that that must have had on their relationship. Even if, in the end, God intervenes to prevent the Pharaoh from taking her for himself. I think of how Lot and Avram, now grown so wealthy that they can't pasture their herds and flocks together in the same territory without conflict, agree to break up the family rather than give up some of what they own. And I think of how Lot seems so willing to go live among the wicked sinners of Sodom in order to benefit from the bountiful and prosperous land in which they live. And then again, I think of how Avram and Sarai, faced with the problem of their continued childlessness, end up coming up with their own schemes to respond to the problem of this lack of an heir. Avram makes plans to leave his possessions to his steward Eliezer. Sarai prevails upon Avram to lie down with her maidservant Hagar and father a son that way. And I would say that in all of this, the two of them display a troubling lack of faith in God or in one another. Which raises the important question of what is faith, really? And I think that faith is the courage to stick to our values, to hew to what is right rather than what is merely convenient, even when the world seems to be pushing back against you, even when such a path may seem foolish and naive. This is the vital point of connection between faith as belief and faithfulness understood as loyalty and constancy. The precise way that those two aspects of faith connect with each other is less important than the fact of their being connected. What we have faith in is ultimately meaningless unless we are faithful in our actions. That connection is what gives life to faith and lends it its staying power. Avram, at the beginning of his story at least, is not necessarily a perfect exemplar of that kind of faith. But neither is it completely absent from his character. He's one of the Beinonim, to use a Hasidic term. He's a middling type. He's neither wholly righteous nor wholly in the wrong. He's a person learning how to be faithful, sometimes successfully and sometimes not. And in this, he is in fact very much like us, a fitting individual to be remembered as the founding father of our people. I think as we go about our lives, it's necessary, always, to try and figure out how to make ends meet, to try and figure out how to get by. It's often necessary to make our compromises with the world that is not necessarily going to make way for our values or our goals or our beliefs or our desires. But at the same time, I think it's also necessary to take a look at our lives from time to time through that lens of faithfulness, to examine where we're at and the choices that we're making in light of that call. Because ultimately that call that Avram receives at the beginning of the story, right? That call serves as the ground and source of blessing in his life. God is essentially saying to him that if he is willing to take a leap of faith, if he's willing to stay consistent to his values, if he's willing to live up to the standard that he set for himself and that God is setting for him, then his name will become great and that he will become a blessing for the world around him. That through him and in him, the world can maybe become a safer place and a better place for expressing and living out the kind of faithfulness that God is asking him to live out. He doesn't always succeed. None of the characters in this story always succeed. And in fact, many of them, we see them failing over and over and over and over again. But I think that that is what actually makes this story useful to us, that makes it accessible and meaningful to us. Because we, like Avram, and like Sarai and like Lot, are not Rasha'im, we're not wicked people, but neither are we tzaddikim. We're the Beinonim. We're the between people. We are the people who, in our better moments, are in a process of learning how to be faithful. I'm going to open it up if anyone has any comments or thoughts that they'd like to share. Then feel free to raise your hand. We'll try and get the mic to you in a sec. Okay, thanks. We're going to continue now, back in the Siddur. There we go. We're going to continue back in the Siddur on page 587. Page 587. And I'd like to invite you to rise with me, if you're able and comfortable doing so, for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'atei gidula liotzer b'reishit, shehu sam chelkeinu l'yached et shemo, v'gor aleinu l'amlik malchuto, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Please feel free to have a seat, and we'll continue on page 591. Let's read in English. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, freedom, and of peace. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom ha'u yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed from this earth, to our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We're going to turn to page 598 now, 598. And in particular, this weekend, we are remembering the yahrzeits of Helen Fisher, Marguerite Kirchheimer, Louis Brill, William T. Mackey, Frida Rosenberg, Daniel J. Stallman, Robert Zappert, and Samuel Goldfein. Please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so. We'll recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divra Chirutei V'yamlik Malchutei B'chayechon Uv'yomechon Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala Uv'izman Kariv V'yimru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Ulolmei Almaya. Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Alev V'yit Halal Shemei Dekud Shabarichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru Amen. And may their memories be for a blessing. Thanks. Feel free to have a seat. Just a couple of quick announcements. Tomorrow we've got our usual run of stuff. Encourage folks to come by for the Torah study in the morning, followed by the family service afterward. Everyone always welcome and encouraged to attend. I believe, do we have one more day of the Whale of a Sale going on Sunday? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. And that's from like a 10 to 4 thing again, right? Yeah, okay. What's that? It's a bag sale. What's a bag sale? Okay, so you fill up a bag. Great, cool, awesome.
The bag sale for Whale of a Sale is Sunday from 10 to 4, and it's a bag sale. Pack up as much as you can put into the bag for $15.
Good deal. All right. So in addition to that, we've got a couple more things coming up in the coming week. One thing is that next week for Friday night services, November is, among other things, considered to be the National Day of Transgender Awareness. And one of the sort of observances that has sort of become customary to observe in the trans community, at least, is Trans Day of Remembrance, which is typically on the 20th of November. So on this coming Friday night, it's the closest Shabbat to Trans Day of Remembrance, so we're going to include a little bit of Trans Day of Remembrance kind of energy in our service. So encourage folks to come and participate in that. Also, not this Sunday. Some of you may have gotten, we had a little mix-up with the emails. So not this Sunday, but the Sunday following is the Global Day of Jewish Learning. And we're doing a community-wide program for the Global Day of Jewish Learning with all the different rabbis in the community, or several of the different rabbis in the community who are going to be doing teaching on that day. So encourage people to come for that. We've got the info on in the announcements emails, so take a look for that. For other stuff that's upcoming, take a look in the emails and pay attention to the announcements that are coming out. I believe we've got in not too long, we've got the first movie in the series of Jewish films that are coming up here, right? Wait, so what day is that happening?
I think the movie's available Thursday through Sunday, and then the discussion is this Sunday at...
Okay, so this Sunday is the discussion for the film.
Yeah, 7 o'clock, and Andrea Kastner, who's a member of our synagogue, will be the one leading the discussion.
Okay, and I believe the info for that is also in our community email, not the religious services email, but the community email that's out. So keep an eye out for that as well. That's also coming up. Do what? Or you can take a look at the reporter where all of this stuff is also included. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. We're going to finish up here on page 625 with Adon Olam, and then we'll repair to the other room and do Oneg. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ed nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado imloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu oveh ve'hu yiyeh betifara ve'hu yiyeh betifara ve'hu echad ve'yen sheni lehamshilo leachbira beli reishit beli tachlit v'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra v'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra ve'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur chavli ve'yetzara ve'hu nisi umanos li menat kosi beyom ekra menat kosi beyom ekra beyado afkid ruhi beyetishan beyayira ve'im ruhi kiviati Adonai li velo ira Adonai li velo ira. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.